I have joined the EV gang, guys. I finally have myself an electric vehicle. Let's dive into this Nissan Leaf and see what kind of plans I have for it. Let's get started. So this is my 2013 Nissan Leaf. It has only 63,000 miles and the battery is half dead as far as health. Not talking about state of charge, we're talking about state of health. These can have 11 bars to show the health of the battery. This one has, I think, six or seven. So on a full charge, I can go about 50 miles, which is perfectly fine to go back and forth to work. But that's not going to work if I want to go any further than that, or if I have to run to a doctor's appointment or something like that. So one of the things I'm doing right now is looking at options for a battery swap. We're going to see what we're going to do, what avenue, and we're going to be probably doing that on this car and bring a lot more life into it. Today we're going to take a look around it and put it on the lift and see some of the differences. Although it is an EV, there's not as many differences as you would think. As far as motive power, there's a lot of differences. But the car itself is a car. Let's go ahead and take a look around this thing. It's in pretty good shape. I got it for a little over $4,000 from Euro Asian Bob. And I think I got a pretty good deal, even with the battery. No, I knew the battery had the issue. But as you can see, it's not dented or caved in on the sides. It's got nice wheels. The tires at some point could be replaced, but I'll just use them for now. It's dusty right now because I live on a dirt road, and it probably will stay dusty. For what I paid for it, I don't really care. There's a lot of these on the road that are in very good shape, just as this one is, but they have battery issues. People are afraid of the batteries. No dings, no cracks, the paint's pretty good on it, although as we just saw, the rear of the car looks very strange. Don't you think it looks strange, Mrs. Wizard?
You do have a tendency to like strange looking cars.
I do have a cube after all.
You do.
Yep. So let's go ahead and open this guy and see what's under this. Most of you know what this is, but a lot of you won't. This is my charging port. There is a second charger you can purchase here that is for DC fast charging. This car did not have that option when it was new, and it really doesn't matter because the maximum charge rate on this car is 66 kilowatt hours, or kilowatts. I'm not sure how that's all said. I'm still learning the EV game, guys, but I can get that through this port, so that's not a big deal. Okay. I actually purchased two chargers. I have one at home and I have one that just showed up today. It is a very, very fast charger. Let's get inside and let Mrs. Wizard look at the interior.
As we can see, it does have 63,000 miles, just like the Wizard said, and we can see that it is fully charged at the moment, but it does say 47 miles until it needs more. Well, it shows the gas icon, but it does have a plug-in on that little gas pump, so they're still staying true to a couple of common icons there. If we can see, it's got a lovely screen up there to show speed. Where the two triangles are, that's actually kind of near where it kind of shows where your health is when you're driving. Are you being conservative or are you being aggressive? And in this case, aggressive driving is not what you want to be doing. It does have a two-tone dash, has a dark gray and a light gray, and they're both, you're going to find this car is in great, great condition. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to allow the Wizard to drive this, because he is driving this to work after all, and you will see that there are very, very light gray seats in here. I've already made him promise to get a seat cover, at least for this seat, the driver's seat, so he does not transfer any of his work dust, dirt, and grime onto the seat. It does have a lovely screen with Bluetooth enabled. It does have Bose speakers as well. So it does have a very simple joystick, and if you want to go in reverse, you come up and put it forward. If you want to go and drive, you just go down here. There's not much going on in this transmission because it's just a one-speed transmission. It either goes forward or in reverse. So it's pretty straightforward. If you want to go and park though, you push the button and that puts it into park. So not a whole lot going on there. You can see, simple places, got cup holders, got places to hold things, got a little bit of a center console, and the back seat is looking good. The one thing we did notice is that the two headrests are missing back there, and we don't know exactly where they went. We've searched around the car and cannot find them, so not sure what happened there. You do note that these are heated seats, and in reality, it takes less energy to heat the seats than it is to actually turn on the HVA system in the front dash. So, having the heated seat will actually do better for the eco version of this car. If you do notice that this is obviously a Nissan product, and many of the items in here are Nissan based. Door panels are very simple, and everything is very lightweight. So if you push in here, if you're pushing really hard, you'll feel this is pretty hollow. So there's a lot of consideration for weight, because obviously the more weight you put into this car, the less power you're going to get put to those wheels on the road. Let's get this thing up in the air. Gosh, Wizard, that's quite the musical car you got there.
It does. It makes a lot of weird noises and bings and bongs and things. It's very electrified. I think that's the quietest I've ever driven between two lifts. I could actually hear the parts moving in the suspension. There's just no noise. There's no engine noise. There's nothing. Which I really, really like. After I've spent a week, 40, 50, however long I work in a week, hearing engine after engine after engine, listening to engines, when I go home, it's actually really nice to not hear an engine. It's actually very relaxing, guys. Although it is an electric car, it does have a hood, and we'll open the hood. There it is, guys. Really, for the uninitiated, they would really think that's the engine. It kind of looks like an engine. There's no pistons, no camshaft, no oil, no timing chain, no timing belts, no fuel injectors, no fuel system, nothing. This is a big control box. This is electronics. The charging port that I just showed you runs through this orange wiring, which means high voltage. That's what orange means. And down there it does have liquid cooling. Here's a reservoir, and there is a radiator to cool the electric motor. But that's about it. There's an electric motor directly connected to a small little drivetrain. And from there it's basically like any other car. As we get it on the lift here in a minute, you'll see. But it has air conditioning, which uses R134. I'm very happy about that. It isn't some crazy weird stuff. It's just standard R134. There's an AC compressor on the side. You can see that the lines go to that area down there. It does use electricity to run the AC compressor. Here's our ABS module. That's our analog brakes. And for our brake booster, you can see it's not a vacuum booster. It's an electronic unit. I'm sure when that breaks, that will be super expensive. Hopefully it doesn't break anytime soon. But other than that, there's not a whole lot under here. A battery. Here we have fuse boxes for the 12-volt system, which is light bulbs, power windows, heated seats, things like that. There's some fans. It does have fans for the condenser and the cooling system for the electric motor.
That actually came out of your ass.
You recorded it.
Yeah, I did. Guess what? That's going to get on a video.
Great.
Don't do it on film.
You probably will put it on there.
Good. Would you go?
Okay. So the next question is, what kind of power does this thing have? It has 107 horsepower. 107. That's it. Which is actually very good for an electric motor. And it has like 189 pound-feet of torque at 0 RPMs. Instant torque. It doesn't have to get up to certain RPMs to build up the power. It's right now. Immediately power. That's what's really cool about EVs as far as acceleration. That's also why you could take a Porsche Taycan S. If you could take it back in time, you would annihilate any and all and every car in existence. It is so fast, guys. This one's not that fast, obviously. It's made for economy. but it's still pretty quick. It's pretty decent, especially up to about 40 miles an hour. It's actually excitingly quick. Let's get this thing up on the lift and see what kind of similarities and differences there are between an EV and a gas car. So right now I have it in neutral. I had to turn on the car, put it in neutral, and I'm not going to be able to turn it back off because if I do, it'll go back into park and then I can't get it on the lift. This is becoming a very common thing with newer cars. You leave it on, leave it in neutral, and now we can put it on the lift. So this is the first time that either I or you guys have seen the underneath of this car. I haven't even looked underneath of it yet. But I really wasn't too worried when I purchased it because other than the battery issues that any EV can have, there's just really not much that can go wrong. There's nothing mechanical so much like a gas engine or something. They're actually very reliable, the rest of the car. The batteries can cause issues, especially when they get age on them. But other than that, they're actually very, very reliable cars. So you can see that it's got a big belly pan here. We really can't see the radiator or anything. So we'll go ahead and move to the wheels. As you can see, there's nothing special here. Being in an EV, it has standard brakes, tie rod ends, sway bar links and bushings, and CV shafts and struts, which are all appearing to be in good shape. We'll move over to the other side. The pads are about half gone. The rotors, there's a little bit of rust on some of this stuff. It's maybe been up in the Northeast, but luckily it doesn't have a lot of miles on it. Sway bar link, strut, everything's good there. If we peek up through here, as you look around in there, there's really not much going on. There's a control module, an electric motor, and kind of like a little, I don't even know if you call it a transmission. It's like a transfer case. It just transfers the power over to the CV shafts. And outside of that is conventional, the way it delivers the power to the wheels. One of the really cool things about EV cars, no fuel tank, no exhausts, none of that stuff up through the center. But what is in the center, right here, is a very big battery pack. It's in the whole floor. It's right under the floorboards. All of this. That's going to be something we're going to do as I look into the avenues I'm going to take to acquire a battery pack. We're going to lower this down and reinstall a bigger unit, possibly. When we come back here, it just has a simple beam style suspension. It's not independent, it's just a solid beam. This right here, it looks like a gas tank. It kind of is, but it doesn't hold gasoline. It holds lithium-ion batteries. That's where the big giant battery pack is located. Here we have our normal springs, disc brakes, shocks, just like a normal car. Everything's good there, nothing's loose. You don't have to worry about sway bars. There really isn't one. Everything's tight there. Brakes look good. Shocks are good. Really, for 63,000 miles, there shouldn't be a whole lot wrong with it. Up under this, it's just a big empty hole. There's nothing there. Really doesn't need to be. It doesn't need anything right there to operate the car. The tires, like I said, you can see a lot of cracking in them. They've got some age on them. I'm just going to use them through the summer and into the fall. And when it's time, getting into winter weather, I'll get a new set of tires on it. Let's go ahead and lower this thing down. So here we have the pinnacle of economy and the pinnacle of pig-headed waste. No, actually it's a very cool car. I like these. You guys know I was in the military. I worked on hundreds of these. Although they were the military version, this is a more civilian. There's a lot of comfort features and things on it, but that is the antithesis to this car's existence. And thinking about this car, the battery it came stock with is 24 kilowatt. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of 30 or 40 And I understand there's a way to use modules to make communication possible between the upgraded batteries and this system. And when this car was new, it was probably 70 miles, 60, 70, 80 mile in that range. And I can turn this car to have 100, 120, 130, maybe even 150 if you take it easy. It'd be a huge upgrade for this car. For what I paid for it, plus the price of the batteries, it'll still be less than buying a new car. And from what I understand, if I hear from friends and stuff, that they believe gas prices are about to go way up. So people laugh at this car and say it's whimsical, it's a joke, it's silly. But when gas is $5.50 a gallon or $5 or whatever it goes to with inflation happening, this car won't be the laughingstock anymore, I guarantee it. Just like when the Priuses came out, when they become very popular, at first they were a joke. People laughed at them. And that was during that summer when gas was $4.50, $5 a gallon in some states. And all of a sudden, the value of a Prius doubled overnight. And no one was laughing anymore. So that's what kind of why I bought this, because I can charge it at home, I can charge it here at the shop, and I can drive it back and forth. I never even have to go to a gas station. I think that's really, really cool. So the next video we do on this, I hopefully will have a decision made on the battery pack, on what route we're going to take, and then we're going to do a video on dropping the battery, swapping in a higher capacity unit, and enjoying this car for what it's meant for. No emissions, no gasoline. Another selling point for me for an EV was the fact that when I've wrenched on cars all week long, the last thing I want to do on the weekend is wrench on my car. This one, really, there's not much to wrench on. It just goes. You go in and push the start button and you hear that goofy little tone that Mrs. Wizard talked about, and you just go. I think they're going to sell very well for the younger generations because they do not want to maintain their car. They just want to go. Hit some kind of a button and go. And that's what these cars are good for. So if you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to work on this or that, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All my tools in the shop are listed for sale there. We get a small cut and we really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button because you're going to want to keep up with this car and upgrading the battery. We've got a 308 video that will be coming soon. Hit the subscribe button, guys. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching.